It is the early 16th century in London. King Henry VIII has just been informed that Pope Clement VII has denied his request for a divorce. In response, Henry deposes the Pope's Archbishop of Canterbury and appoints his own. The new Archbishop promptly declares the first marriage null and recognizes Henry's secret marriage to Anne Boleyn. Back and forth goes this struggle between church and state, as Pope Clement now excommunicates Henry. In response, Henry VIII breaks completely with Rome and places all the churches in his kingdom under his own rule. This marks the beginning of the Anglicans and the Church of England. In 1534, Henry goes one step further, requiring all his subjects to swear an oath to the Supremacy Act. The act states that Henry is the supreme ruler of England, placing him above church authorities.
Be it enacted that the king shall be taken, accepted, and reputed the only supreme head on earth of the Church of England. The Supremacy Act, 1534.
There is one other consequence of Henry's struggle with the church. Thomas More is Lord Chancellor and a humanist who finds himself the recipient of the king's attention. But he has no illusions about Henry VIII.
If my head would win him a castle in France, it should not fail to go. William Roper, The Life of Sir Thomas More.
Indeed, Thomas More has not only declined to attend Henry's wedding to Anne Boleyn, he has refused Henry's act of succession, which would make Henry and Anne's offspring successors to the throne. Henry has thrown him in the Tower of London, and on July 6, 1535, Thomas More is beheaded, dying for his principles. After all this, Anne Boleyn fails to give Henry a son. She herself is beheaded 11 months later. And thus, friendship is lost, honor betrayed, the Church of England born, and precisely 400 years later, Thomas More is beatified and declared a saint by Pope Pius XI. No longer would the Pope be Europe's supreme authority, and never again would the Catholic Church have such complete dominance over Western Europe. By the middle of the 16th century, Lutheran, Calvinist, and Anglican sects are becoming the faith of much of Western Europe. It seems that within another 50 years, Protestants may completely replace Catholics. But their meteoric rise is about to be halted. The fuse of reform that is to revitalize the Catholic Church is lit in the year 1521 with the single blast of a cannon. Nestled in the Spanish Pyrenees, just 25 miles south of the French border, is the picturesque city of Pamplona. A seemingly ordinary battle rages over territory. It appears to have no bearing on the evolution of Christianity. As the battle unfolds, a cannonball shatters the leg of a soldier. Shattered too are his dreams of grandeur and conquest. His name is Ignatius Loyola. During a long and painful convalescence, the only readings which give Loyola relief are spiritual works. They inspire the restless warrior to become a soldier once again, but this time in the service of the Virgin Mary.
He decided since he couldn't serve His Lady the Queen, he will serve His Lady the Queen of Heaven. And so at a very late age, he began studying theology, and he gathered around himself a group of people who were equally devout.
Already in his 30s, Loyola takes the same passion he once had for fighting and now redirects it to religious study. His goal is to live his life in the land of Jesus. In 1522, Loyola sets off for the Holy Land and pauses in Barcelona. There, legend has it, that Loyola kneels all night before the altar of the shrine of Our Lady of Montserrat. This is the custom he knows as a soldier. But Loyola now leaves his sword and knife at the shrine, gives away all his clothes, and dresses himself in the garments of poverty. Over the next 10 years, Loyola devotes himself to meditation and writes Spiritual Exercises, a book designed to help people discover their personal role in God's world. Loyola's emphasis on the individual seems in line with the thinking of the Protestant Reformation. But Loyola is strictly Catholic.
If you think of Calvin and Loyola as these two people who take Luther's basic turn to the individual, but they sort of help it out by saying, yes, you are an individual, but you still have to play a role in this big cosmos and society. Then you see this radically, what I think of as a radical reinvention of Christianity.
After 2 years in Barcelona, Loyola moves on to Alcalá and its university. In Alcalá, he studies and practices his first love, which is teaching, especially children. But it is his preaching that gets him into trouble. The Inquisition looks upon anyone preaching who is not ordained as suspect. Loyola is thrown into jail for 42 days. And when he is released, he is forbidden to preach. Undeterred, Loyola moves to Paris to study for the priesthood. Legend has it that Loyola goes to school to learn Latin, and that he sits in grammar school, the only adult among adolescent children. In 1540, Ignatius Loyola founds a new order known as the Jesuits. He recruits the best, brightest, and most highly dedicated to join his ranks. Their missionary zeal makes them one of the most potent forces in the history of Christianity. Their mission is to revive the Catholic Church in this time of Reformation. They are asked to start a school in a small Sicilian town, and within decades, Jesuit schools are in demand all over Europe. Jesuits are soon highly influential wherever they go. As the 16th century draws to a close, not only is the advance of the Protestants stopped, but a significant portion of Europe reformed by the Protestants is won back to the Catholic Church, due largely to the efforts of the Jesuits.
There were people who thought, well, the Protestants have gone too far. They've thrown away the baby with the bath. One finds a period of great enthusiasm, followed by a period of second thoughts, followed even by a period of retrenchment.
Not all are converted by the word, however. Many are forced to convert by the sword. Wars erupt all over Europe between Protestant and Catholic over which faith shall prevail.
The dominant notion is that the unity and peace and tranquility of society depends on a common faith. That's the glue that holds society together. And therefore, when somebody is attacking and undermining the stability of society. That is certainly going to provoke, if all other solutions fail, certainly going to provoke attempts at violent solution.
It is a time when civilization is based on one ruler, one faith. A time when the notion of many faiths under the same rule is still centuries away.
It's a sorry thing to say, but I'm afraid if you want to know what the human race really thinks, what they really believe in, you have to ask what they're willing to kill for. And in this case, they were willing to kill for the unity of Christendom. I mean, it just sounds awful when I say it. It is awful when I say it.
For more than 100 years, Europe convulses in wars of religion as Christian slaughters Christian in the name of God.
But the wars of religion are civil wars. So you have to imagine doing this to your own country. They were basically self-inflicted devastation.
The wars end for little else than pure exhaustion. By 1650, a war-torn, weary Europe remains divided by faith. But Christianity's physical and spiritual exhaustion is countered by the growing influence of Loyola and his Jesuit missionaries. The Church of Rome is about to make one of the most profound changes in the last half of its second millennium. Christianity is going to travel beyond Europe and to the rest of the world.